there's always more to the story. Join your hosts, Dr. Eric Shaw, prosecutor Ryan Frank, writer Adrian Bonenberger, and comedian Ryan Connor as they follow up on the most recent episode of Baggage. This is Carry On.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Carry On. In this episode, we have myself, Ryan Frank, Eric Shaw, and Ryan Connor. Adrian could not be with us. But Ryan, we are following up on our last episode you missed. So anyway, the episode that you missed was with Charlie, who was a flight attendant, Argentinian flight attendant, which is pretty cool. And our first international guest. And he shared some stories about just horrific, getting puked on and terrible passengers. And
he works for like an Argentine national airline, or in the U.S. and he's Argentine.
No, he lives in Argentina and flies an Argentinian airline.
Yeah.
Did I conjugate all that right? I don't know. I think that's right.
The Argentine and Argentinian, same thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll get emails if we're wrong. But he also is a amateur pilot, and check out the episode, everybody. Mm-hmm. But the ending was he ended up crashing a plane, and it was a pretty wild story. He ended up crash landing a plane. Yeah.
Well, I here's my question for him. I know he's not here, but I'd say 1 out of every 10 flights, I'm within a few feet of someone who's farting the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, they must be on every flight. Do flight attendants, I wonder if they know, if they have a map, like if every flight they're like, it's 28F, you know? And if they're like, I don't know, doing some kind of voodoo shit in the back, hoping that something bad happens to them. I'm just curious. I think they're the biggest threat to air safety.
My favorite thing on the flight when you've got to rip a beefer and you just let that silent one go. And as soon as you realize that everyone around you is smelling it, you just kind of look at the guy next to you and you're like, you sick fuck. What's wrong with you?
Fuck, man.
You're the guy on the airplane, Eric. What
Go
are you
to
doing,
the bathroom.
Man? Yeah, man. Yeah. It didn't come up in the episode, but man, I wish you were there, because that's actually a very good point. Like, part of your career is just kind of
shitting all over the plane and puking all over the plane.
Yeah, but that's like, that doesn't happen every flight, but every flight is probably like just a slight odor, right? That's a good,
oh man,
that's a good
People
point.
are ripping it every flight.
Oh my God. I think it has to do with the pressure changes. That's got to screw with some people, and like normally you could hold it, but I don't know. But yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. It makes absolute sense. But, and that's why you gotta eat and drink like a responsible person before a flight and on a flight.
What's responsible?
No grease. No, like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Speaking of, I'm going to say more irresponsible travel. I want to tell a funny story about, like, I took a trip to Asia with my buddy who does tons of international travel, and he hates traveling, and his general kind of strategy for this is just like basically start pounding beers in the United Club as early as you can, get drunk, and then pass out on the flight. And I was like, well, I've never traveled across time or international time zones like this, so I'm just gonna follow the leader here. And so our flight left at 10 in the morning for Tokyo, and we were already pretty lit by the time we got on the plane. And the steward broke his headphones accidentally as they were moving the cart around, and he used this to leverage the guy to get as much red wine as humanly possible from him. And we just kept going until basically I fell asleep. What I didn't realize is at some point I had a smart move to get a bottle of water because I knew I was going to need it. What I stupidly did was put it kind of on the table, and in my slumber I knocked it over and spilled it all over.
Slumber.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's a guy who's been to grad school.
Yeah. I spilled it all over myself, but was inebriated enough to not realize that I had spilled it on myself. And so when I woke up, my pants were soaking wet, and I was like, I pissed myself on a Trans-Pacific flight. Oh my God, I pissed myself. And I'm looking around, and then I see the empty bottle of water. I'm like, okay, I didn't piss myself. Okay,
dude.
I'm still sopping wet, and I'm going to get up and everyone's going to think that I've pissed myself. This is not good either way. But at least in the two scenarios there, this is the least bad. But I got my little carry-on. I had to change of clothes, went to the bathroom and like changed back there. But it was just one of those, like,
this is incredible.
It was just such an embarrassing moment.
You and I had an almost identical experience. I got on a flight. I don't know why. I don't drink fruit juice, but for some reason I had a bottle of apple juice. I don't know why. I don't know if I was just felt drained or something, but it's open. You know those like Florida Natural type ones? It's a little wider mouth. it's sitting on my tray as we're still people are getting on, right? I can hit the tray or something, flips over, half of it pours right on my crotch, right? Just full piss location. And it's sticky apple juice. After a while, gets that it smells like something's up. And it was the same thing. I had to wait until we'd boarded or we'd taken off, and I had pants in my carry-on that I brought and changed in the bathroom. But like everyone just sees me with a wet crotch changing in the bathroom too. So it's like
you don't want to be like, no, I totally didn't piss myself. Totally didn't do that.
Yeah, that's not something someone would say who just pissed themselves, huh? That's not the exact thing a pants pisser would say.
I'm gonna bring a change of clothes on my carry-on every time from now on. I mean, I feel like that's not something everybody has. That's a good
absolutely
just in case you fake pee yourself.
Got to.
Well, that's not a terrible experience compared to what has recently been in the news. It's serendipitous. We have Charlie on, who is great. No complaints about that. But maybe we should have waited until we got somebody that was on the flight from a British Airways flight that was going. Have you guys heard about this in the last week?
No.
It was going from San Francisco to London. Mid-flight, the crew couldn't find one of the flight attendants. They go into the bathroom. He's coked out, dancing naked in the bathroom.
Dancing.
A flight attendant?
Yes, one of the flight attendants.
Wow. I would expect a passenger, but not a flight attendant.
No. It was a 41-year-old guy. He was supposed to be serving the in-flight meal, and they couldn't find him. And he was just high as a kite, dancing naked in the bathroom.
I mean, I like that.
I mean,
that's kind of what I want from my flight attendants.
They bring the party with them.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. What's more interesting to me is like the 15 minutes that led up to that, where he was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to take one of these or whatever he did. What's good? What's the worst that could happen? Right?
Yeah.
One thing that our last guest talked to us about, or Charlie talked to us about, was that he was doing glider stuff as a teenager. And not apples to apples, but I had an experience kind of like that when I was, I think 15, maybe 16. Ryan, do you remember Miss Terosian from our high school, the science teacher? She did marine biology.
Yeah.
She organized a diving trip to the Bahamas, and me and some of the other kids in the class got to go on that. And we got down to Miami, and they realized that they had not chartered enough seats for us on the planes. And there was like 3 of us that were kind of, they basically had volunteers. They're like, can 3 of you guys stay behind and you'll take the next flight out? And I don't know why, but she thought I was one of the more responsible people and left me there as kind of like the person in charge. And the rest of the groups had gone on like larger jets. They were probably about like 15, 20 person jets. We went on a 4-person Cessna, and I'd never been in an airplane that small before. And the guy was literally doing repairs on it in the hangar as we're watching. And we're like, is this safe? He's like, oh yeah, totally safe. And I'm like, did you just pull out duct tape? He's like, no. I was like, I'm pretty sure he did. But
no, you had duct tape, not me.
At the end of the day, we get going. We could get going, and it's me and these 2 girls and this pilot, and we're heading down from Miami to Andros Island. And I'm in the co-pilot seat, which was already kind of it's cool but intimidating, particularly with no flight experience or anything. And we get going, and if you're flying over the Caribbean, it's beautiful. It's just like this crystal blue water. You can see all the reefs. You can see everything there. And we're not that high in the Cessna either, so you can still see everything. And at some point, about like halfway through, he's like, hey man, I got to check my maps and instruments and stuff. Can you just take over for a second? I'm like, I don't have my driver's license. And he's like, it's fine. Just aim for those clouds over there. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, you'll do fine, man. So I'm flying this plane for like 10, 15 minutes,
Fuck that.
Losing my mind. Well, that's not even the best part. As we start to get close to the island, we're going lower and lower, and you can start to see the reefs and stuff. And you can start to see the island and the jungle coming up. There's plane crash after plane crash after plane crash in the water and in the jungle. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, DEA shoots down or crashes drug runners. He's like, they would force them down when they'd catch these guys. And so like, those are all like, drug runners that the DEA or the, the law enforcement has shot down or crashed.
Man, that's not in the news.
No. So, yeah. And then we landed nice and safely on Andros and had a great trip. But that was a pretty wild flight experience for me as a young man.
Man, we went to high school
That's
together.
incredible.
You went what was that? I didn't get invited to anything, man. That's crazy.
This was for like the Uber nerds.
Oh, I guess I was just isolated. I wasn't nerdy. I was just
You weren't nerdy enough.
apparently not.
I was in that same limbo zone as you, Ryan Frank, where I was like just nerdy enough to not get invited to the cool things, but not nerdy enough to get invited to the nerdy things.
Right. My grades, I was like a B student without a girlfriend. Yes.
Dude,
Pretty stereotypical.
feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you, man. I would talk about it, but I talked about it last night with someone else, and I can't go farther into it. It's too upsetting. It's too upsetting.
We're
in our 40s and it still hurts.
I was 5 feet tall at the end of my junior year, and then I grew a foot in a year. But as soon as I started growing, December of my senior year, I had to get braces. So,
oh yeah, I was definitely begging my parents to give me braces so I wouldn't have them in high school, and they didn't give it. I didn't get them until I got to high school. I was one of those kids, and then and then I thought it was smart to grow a goatee, and no one said anything.
Because your goatee looked like ass.
No one told me that.
Well, no one's going to tell you to your face.
Well, it was high school.
That's what friends do.
It was
That's
high
what
school.
friends do.
I needed to hear that.
We were all trying though. Like I had a shitty goatee as well. So
okay.
Yes. A goat. Well, yeah, that's true. I should have known from that.
But you also had like the little dirty mustache as well.
Yeah, and a terrible nickname.
No.
It was a pretty bad 4 years there. Where anyway, married with kids now. Everything's
Hey,
great.
we're doing all right.
Everything's Great.
Nice
Now we're
transition.
doing all
Let's
right.
get away from this topic.
We're all happy.
This is more
and,
depressing than the guest episodes.
So,
Yeah.
Ryan, you travel all the time for work. You
Constantly.
have got to have some good flight stories.
Well, I've only have one. Okay, I have one weird interaction with a flight attendant, and this person must. I assume she was just having a bad day, but I had I think it was an iPad. Yeah, it was an iPad in my lap. I'm looking at it before takeoff, and she comes by over to me and she goes, "Stow your device," and I go, "Okay," and I close it and. I'm just like have it away, and she comes back by and goes, "I told you to stow your device." And I go, "What do I do?" I put it in the seat back, and she goes, "If you do not stow your device right now, you are going to be kicked off of this flight." And I go, "I need you to understand that people don't use the word stow, and I don't know what you want me to do. I've done 3 different things, all trying to appease you. None of them are right. What do you want me to do with this? It's hidden. It's in the back seat of the seat." And she goes, "I will kick you out." And I go, "Just tell me what you want me to do." And she goes, "Stow it." And I go, "What does that mean?" And she goes, "Put it in your bag." So then I put it in my bag. You're not supposed to have to do that, by the way. She was wrong. That's not the FAA regulation.
I looked it up.
I had almost that same thing happen, and it was right after they changed the rules. Remember, it used to be you truly had to stow everything, turn it off, airplane mode, all that sort of stuff. All electronics had to be off completely, and they just changed it. And I was on a flight not even a month later, and this stewardess was just giving me a rash of shit. And I wasn't as nice as you were. I'm lucky I didn't get kicked off that flight. And she's like, "Well, that's not our policy. You need to put it away." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure you're wrong." And she's like, "Do you want to push this?" And I was like, No, I don't.
It's like if cell phones interfered with airplane or airport communication, cell phones would be illegal. They would at least be illegal on flights. Like you would get patted down to make sure you don't have one. Terrorists would just get on planes and turn on a cell phone. Like that would be the whole thing was a farce. I don't think it was ill intentioned. I think it was just a policy from people who didn't understand the science, and they're trying to be super careful. But obviously, like it would be illegal. It
used to be all electronics, like just having anything on. So
now you can't have a computer out during takeoff, but you can have
because they're worried
an
about
iPad.
It's going to fly around if there was turbulence.
Right.
But
Then we grew up
in the in the airport. There's just certain things you don't say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like bomb or gun, like joking about things like that. You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
One of my dad's friends was a real mouthy guy, and this was like right after 9/11, and And it was actually right after the shoe bomb guy, if you guys remember that.
Richard Reed.
Yeah, so guy legitimately put bombs in his shoes and tried to get on an airplane. Well, this guy was having to do the whole freedom grope, get searched sort of thing. And he made a joke as they were taking shoes off. He's like, what do you expect to find there? Fuses? Yeah, I guess who did not get on that flight that day? He learned a lesson of.
It reminds me, it was someone that will remain nameless. She goes to the airport and smokes as much weed as possible before going to the airport, and is walking in through the airport. There's a security or law enforcement canine starts going ape shit. And she goes up to it. She's like, oh, little doggy. Oh, he's a little doggy. Meanwhile, the mutual friend that was with him was like, what are you doing? You need to back off and go. And the way that it was told to me, the cop was just like, clearly, you just got high before getting on the plane. Like, I don't want to deal with you. Just please go away. Please go away. But just like, come on. Come on.
Well, they should have an extra dog that you can play with.
It's really the cop's fault. Yeah.
They should have 2 dogs. This one's at work. This one's for fun.
At the Denver airport, they should totally do that. They even have a bin at the Denver airport for like, look, we're not judging. Just throw your shit out before you get on the airplane. Like, you won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
We all have a mutual friend that you've probably heard this story, that they were traveling, and when they got to the airport, they realized they had a whole bottle of, I'm not sure if it was concentrate or just like marijuana infused soda or something, but it was a larger dose than average, and realized they had to get rid of this before getting on the plane and didn't want to waste it. And so basically consumed the entire bit and then basically melted the entire way back to their destination.
Is this a mutual friend that we know that would it have been a transatlantic flight?
I don't know if it's transatlantic. That he is one of a set of twins that we know.
Oh no! Actually, I was thinking about somebody else.
Oh, okay. Even better. That's an even better one to picture.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The same guy that mistook. Is that a word? A jar, or no, excuse me, a bowl of whipped butter for yogurt. Was it
pudding? He had 2 bowls. He had 2 bowls of butter that he thought was pudding.
Yeah.
The same guy who did edibles in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then lost both of his shoes, but somehow started going by Johnny One Shoe.
Was that
there were no shoes.
Was that your bachelor party?
I think that's when
I think it was because it was the same trip where I don't even think anybody bet him. He just wanted to see if he could do it, and he did it was all you could eat buffet. And they had
it was $5 each.
Oh,
we all bet $5. It was we all pledged $5 each, and I think 3 of us paid him.
Okay, that they had all you can eat buffet, and they had the butter that was just for shrimp. That it's not really butter. Why is that still
the crab legs?
Yeah, the crab legs that you can dip your thing in. And he was doing shots of those.
I think we said, what did we say? $5 if he could do 10 shots of it, or something like that. And he did the first one he was fine. Second one he's like, it's not good, but it's fine. And it had sediment in it. And the third one he just ran to the bathroom and started puking. And I know I paid him because I was the one who provoked the challenge. And it seems like something where you would have paid him too, and maybe Glenn, maybe his brother.
I see myself not caring and wondering why he was doing it. But that was an awesome trip too. That was the brothers. It was Rory Scovel. It was Danny. I can't remember Danny's last name. Rouillet and Glenn and all this. Man, that was a fun trip.
If we're gonna keep going down the avenue of stories about these two brothers, there was a New Year's Eve party in Richmond where they were at, and I'm not sure who convinced him to put on one of those dog shock collars that would shock you if you got close to the fence. And he went, I don't know why he had it on, but he had it on, and he went over there to take a piss outside the house, started getting shocked as he was peeing, fell over in the snow getting shocked, and then proceeded to pee on himself as he got shocked, and then laid there in the snow laughing and crying as this happened.
Yeah. They don't have bachelor's degrees right now. They didn't, no. I don't know if you guys thought they did, but they don't.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they went to college with Ryan and I, and had an awesome time. but it was not. Well, I mean, eventually maybe
they failed out for different reasons.
Yeah.
Jim didn't need. Sorry,
Oh.
One of them didn't need to fail out. Okay. One of them failed out. It's sort of my fault, to be honest, because he played. He was addicted to Minesweeper, and then just to mess with him, I changed all.
Who's addicted to Minesweeper? Like Call of Duty,
the one who was my roommate freshman year.
That's like
he was addicted to
Solitaire,
Minesweeper.
Dude. Just can't stop playing Solitaire.
Dude, I'm
Actually,
serious.
Solitaire is
like
more
that.
respectable than Minesweeper.
Yeah, I agree. So he was addicted to Minesweeper, and to mess with him, because I just heard clicking all day, just hours on end. Right? He's playing like he's playing Doom or something, and so I changed all the shortcuts on his computer so that when he clicked on Minesweeper anywhere, it would open up his CD-ROM drive. And he didn't know that he needed to go to his program files, redirect the links or whatever. So he goes, it appears it is not working. And then he downloaded another game called Tribes. And then he became so addicted to Tribes, he stopped going to class. And that's what landed him on academic probation. And then during and then September 11th happened and he enlisted. So that was kind of my fault, because I'm the reason he was addicted to Tribes. The other one, he and I were roommates when he failed out, but I was a good student. But I had nothing to do with him.
No, that he did.
Do you remember why? Do you remember why he failed out?
I remember a couple of stories of him in class. I don't know a specific one.
Well, not necessarily the class, but why he stopped going to class. Quantum Leap. He started skipping all of his classes to watch Quantum Leap.
Like reruns?
Yes. Quantum Leap.
Oh, that's
Law and Order too, but Quantum Leap was the one. He skipped. We were in a class together.
Oh, wow. That's not.
Ended up really never. I don't even think he went to the final exam because he just hadn't done anything, because he skipped the class every week for Quantum Leap.
That's not cool. No.
Are they going to be mad at us or
No, they'll think it's hilarious.
Are they going to find this funny and amusing that we're talking about?
They'll think it's hilarious. And it's going to be funny when Jim puts it together. It's
right about
this is
now.
Sort of my fault.
It's right about now that he's going to realize this is even about him.
They're going to click with who it is.
They're like, wait, he's going to be like, wait, I'm a twin. My name is Jim. Wait a second.
And I want to put this out there that we really like these guys.
They're great.
These guys are awesome. They're fantastic human beings. But there's just contributed to so many amazing stories.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, his
they're
brother,
two of the most entertaining people on our planet.
I mean, it's out there now. John, he was kind of, I don't know what his path looked like when you guys convinced him that it's pronounced Socrates, not Socrates. And he corrected the professor.
Corrected the professor. Actually, it's Socrates.
Actually, it's Socrates.
God. Oh God!
In one of the 200 person amphitheater classes too.
Yeah,
that's the Bill and Ted pronunciation of it.
Yes.
We also got him on the SuperNet. I don't know if you know about that
the
one.
Exclusive SuperNet.
We were talking about certain programs that we had on our computers, and they were only on the SuperNet. What's the SuperNet, dude? I'm not telling you about the SuperNet. And then it got to the point where we just kept talking about them, and then he's like, "Man, all I have is the internet. They're on the SuperNet." And then we just got him talking to everyone about the SuperNet and how he's going to get on the SuperNet. And I mean, he really made himself look like a fool, all over town. My favorite thing we did, this was on John's floor, so he was not part of it. It was me and who was it? It was me and one other person, maybe two. We pretended to be RAs, and we went to John's hall because he was a year behind us. So this was our sophomore year. Maybe it was me and Mike, and we pretended to be RAs, and we wrote up everyone on John's floor for noise violations. And then RAs came down, and they were like, "Who are you? We're getting reports of stolen valor," and they try to write us up for pretending to be RAs, and then we were like, "No, we are the RAs of this floor," and these two floors here, and they're like, "No, we are," and they're like, "What are your names?" And then we said our names were their names, because we did our research, and they're like, "No, that's who we are." and we're like, bullshit. I'm Eric Stanton. No, I'm Eric Stanton. I go, look, I'm writing you up. I don't know what your name is. I'm going to see President Merton right now. I'm going to come back. Get some zip ties.
Oh my god!
So along the line of messing with people's computers, I lived in a suite my first year, and so there was 4 rooms, and there was one particularly obnoxious suite mate that none of us liked. And one of the other guys in our floor or our suite was a computer engineer, so he had a lot more knowledge about what to do with this stuff. And we did a lot of sort of bad pranks to him, and I'll get to those in a second. But the best one was he put some sort of like Trojan horse virus on his computer where he could basically access his computer from his, and he would randomly flash up just in the middle of like, this guy was doing homework or something, would just randomly flash up pictures of gay porn. And we'd be sitting there next door, like waiting for it, just like, okay, do it. And he'd click the button, and then you'd hear next door like, God damn it. And he just never could figure it out. But that leads me to my I think most clever, funny prank that we did in college. So the floors there were linoleum, and so there was probably about like a centimeter gap at the bottom of it. And we all had like little fridges and freezers in our rooms. And we went to the dining hall and stole like a small tray from the dining hall. And this is gross, but we pissed in it and put it in the freezer, froze it, waited till he went to bed, and he locked his door and slid this little sheet of piss underneath of his door. In the morning, he woke up with a locked door and just this pool of piss next to his bed. And he never did figure that one out. But I didn't think he brought it up. It was just something that was too mind-boggling to him.
God, you guys were harsh. See, I never lived on campus. I was off campus and didn't have any of those shenanigans.
You missed out.
Did I miss out?
I'll tell you, the picture thing just reminded me of something that I was doing about 6 years ago. I was really having a lot of fun with. A lot of people don't password protect their printer, okay? And they also don't password protect their Wi-Fi network. So what I was doing was anytime I was stuck at something, like even just waiting for someone outside, you see if there's any open Wi-Fi networks, and then you see if there are any printers on that network. And if you just do a Google image search for man covered in honey, there's a great photo. Let me see if it's the first, just so if people want to look it up. And honey, let's just see if the first one to come up. Okay, it comes up on the second row. The particular one I use is a guy with a beard covered in honey who's kind of laughing. And I would just print that on people's printers.
See, that's good. Okay. That's a funny one. That's a fun joke. I like that. No piss involved.
I just want families to argue over who printed
did this. That's the last of the. This is a bit of the cayenne. Who did that?
This is a bit of an escalation from that. But I remember reading about this a while ago, and I think that Apple has fixed this. But it used to be that when you would airdrop things to people, it would actually send kind of a preview of whatever it was. So like normally if you text someone, you had to open it. But otherwise, when you would airdrop, it would immediately show the picture of what's being airdropped. And the joke was that people were on a subway and they would like just see who was available to airdrop stuff. And they would just put up like a dick pic or something. And all of a sudden they just look around the subway and all of a sudden someone's like, oh God.
That's so funny. Speaking of Subway, I did a show at the comic last night who said the speaker at their high school graduation was Jared Fogle.
Oh,
different Subway, but
oof, that's not inspirational.
I hope not recent.
Do you have any photos from your graduation? Not many. Yeah. We didn't really keep them all. It wasn't recent. It wasn't recent. It was it was a work release program. They were like, well, let's get him out, and you just
no.
It's just no, of course not. But also, it's still a weird thing to do for a high school. It's like he's known for eating sandwiches to lose weight. Why is he speaking?
You can get Jared.
Hey, kids, you too can gain a lot of weight and then lose it with sandwiches.
I'm looking at you in the third row.
All right, speaking.
This episode devolved.
I know. Anyway, flight attendants are great.
Flying.
Go flying. Oh, anyway, we're getting real far afield here. But anyway, anybody that missed the episode, check it out with Charlie. It was a good one. And check out our next episode. Come back in a couple weeks because we have a really good one. We have partnered with the Leleka Foundation, and we have a cancer survivor with a pretty incredible story that he's going to be sharing. So come back for that one. And Ryan, you got anything to plug before we leave?
Just go to my website, ryanconnorcomedy.com. I have a lot of live dates. The next one is in Phoenix at the end of June, but just check there. I'm going to be all over the country this year.
Excellent.
Also have my book and special.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Thank you.
Music for Baggage provided by Quincy Ledbetter. You can find his stuff at qledbetter.com. Graphics provided by Megan Weaver. You can find her at meganweaverart.com. Special thanks to our premium members for their support. You can become a premium member by clicking subscribe in your Apple Podcast app or by visiting thebaggagepodcast.com/support to sign up or to gift a membership to someone. A percentage of all proceeds go to charity. If you have any questions, comments, or a good story to share, please email us at thebaggagepodcast@gmail.com.